Yeah.
It's the Indominus Super Brew, you know.
Yeah. Okay. The stream is live now. So should be going. Let's make sure it's working.
You know.
Yeah, looks
Oh,
like
you
it.
got it in the stream. Great.
Yeah.
I'm hearing it. I didn't know if you did. That's funny. Yes, coming soon to a store near you in Dominus Super Brew. Anyways, hi everyone.
Yeah. Hello.
Can you
See
tell
if
we're running on energy drinks and caffeine and quick carbs? But yeah, you look good. Yeah, if I'm looking at the stream, so
okay. Yeah, I
yeah.
think it's showing there's no viewers though, which is kind of interesting. I don't know if it's just something on my end.
Nope. Yeah, I see the same. It says
Okay.
one waiting, but I think that's me, like logged in, seeing myself.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I shared it in a few servers. It should be also going to Backerkit, so let me check Backerkit.
See the general chat.
Yeah, if you want to share in there that we're live, that'd be nice, I think.
Yeah.
Gonna see. I wonder if the stream thing still works. Oh, you know what? On Backerkit, I think I need to hit start. No, it started on its own. Okay.
Sent.
Oh, oh, you pinged him. That's fine.
What was it?
They already got like 3 pings today.
Oh.
It's okay. Hey, Ant.
Oops.
Hey, Gold. Yeah, I wonder if it might just take a little bit to update. So I need
Yeah,
to
probably.
make. Oh yeah, I can just like make myself bigger. There we go. Yeah, so hello folks. You did not miss anything for inertia. By the way, is it inertia or just with a three? Or I was just in my head
That's
call it say
clever,
three
actually.
inertia. Oh,
Inertia. Yeah. Solid.
yeah, nothing yet. We pretty much just started the stream, so we'll just kind of chit chat here. Hello everyone. There we go. People are starting to roll in now. Sweet.
Hello,
Noveler,
hello.
Tomb of Many Tales. Hello, hello. Wrong email. Oh, wrong account maybe. Um, yeah, if you want to share in there that we're live, that'd be
Oh,
nice. There we go. Oh, Tomb of Many Tales. Yeah, yeah, I know what that is. Never mind. I should have known. Oh, why is my? There we go. I'm gonna turn down my lights a little bit here. See if.
Gotta get that perfect, aura.
Well, I'm like my forehead's shining and reflecting the bright light. I look like so bright.
Yeah. Bright like your future. Awesome, awesome. Just
Yeah,
waiting for
that's
folks to
better.
come in, guys, here and there.
Yeah,
But yeah, excited. We've wrapped up playtest packet one, and getting that to all of you, right? All the backers, all the folks that are supporting us. We're so excited for it, and just to get your feedback on it, we'll go over how to do feedback and where to go. Um,
yeah.
so
Yeah. It's a very exciting day, and some folks have already started checking out the new playtest packet. There's a couple little mistakes that I think we'll probably just send out an updated version of it, just since it's going to be
yeah,
3 months. Probably wait like a week or so and just to see if we can't catch any mistakes like
Patch
there
notes.
are. Yeah,
No,
it's
no, no.
mostly just
Day one patch notes, sir. Day one patch notes.
not day one. No, technically they're
We made
necessary.
this game-breaking error.
So targeted for the custom signature power is changed to no stacking, but it says you can stack it up to 3 times, but it doesn't say what happens
Ah,
when you stack it. So it's supposed to not stack now. So
right. There you go. That is kind of game-breaking, yeah.
yeah, yeah, because it's free. So
A
you
little bit.
and it says it's a max of 3, so it kind of looks like you could just for free hit 3 targets in your range. So,
Mhm.
um, but yeah, yeah, we'll correct all those things in due time. Um, but yeah, yeah,
Cool.
it's you
Game
probably
notes.
didn't notice just because it's not you had to like know that that happened. I think specifically the change. So yeah, but I think Ricky and I, now that some folks have kind of hopped in here and are watching, the background art's so bad. Yes, Milton, it's horrible. That's why everybody's always complaining about the art in our game. Um, yeah, I'm sure everybody in the chat already knows because we talk about Milton so much. But yeah, Milton, our artist, is being cheeky.
We have so much to do with you, Milton.
Oh
So
yeah,
much art.
I wanted to see if I can't. I need to figure out how to get those, like a little what do they call it? Not a reel or something, but where it'll just cycle through some images. I wanted to kind of like set up a little
Oh, yeah.
folder of some of the sketches he's been doing. Um, that that way, just have some maybe some more movement on the screen or
We got to
something.
be extra cheeky and do the Marvel intro thing, where it's all of Milton's artwork, like progressively, like being sent to us and all that,
Oh yeah,
and
like
then
the
different
flipping of the
scenes.
pages. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, and then it just lands on, Indominant, So
that would be very cool, but also
probably,
not original.
yeah.
Yeah, who knows if it's copyrightable somehow. So yeah, let me. I'm gonna grab actually the character sheet so we can share that.
Yeah.
I think sharing that's just fine. I don't know if it really.
Now, yeah. So on this stream, it is public. So we wanted to share enough information about what's changed in the game, some major developments, but we won't get super into the details, obviously, because our backers are, that's backers content, right? So
Yeah.
with that, we definitely want to have more people, enter into, being able to play test. So we'll talk a little bit about that, how you can play test later on, perhaps jump in to it and just get playtest material, and that's something that you support us with, just getting that playtest access. So
Yeah. Yeah, we're definitely looking at a couple ways because we can't give playtest access away on the pre-order page. I did have some info about this on the update I sent out this morning, I believe, or it might have been the one yesterday, but um, um, yeah, just trying to make sure that we can keep growing the community, have more and more people join. So we're definitely working on a fix for that so that more people can get playtest access. So yeah, I guess with that, does anybody in the chat have any questions that they immediately want to ask? Like Noveler, Gold, Ant, anyone? Yeah, a little self-indulgent, Gold said. Mike is using the right mic, I hope, right? Yeah, okay.
yeah,
We're
I
not
have to
mean to
grab.
Milton. Or are you talking about everyone else? Oh, probably Ant, yeah. So, yeah. I guess if there's no questions then, because it almost seems like there's a long delay, but I know there's like a natural like 10-second delay or something like
Yeah,
that
yeah.
that we just can't get rid of, but
Go
Oh,
home night bot. Oh, we got to turn that off.
yeah. Well, I've got to update them. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. There's yeah, I'll update that here in a little bit probably.
For sure.
I want to just get the character sheet shown so we can kind of talk through some things and have something to
Yeah.
show. Yeah, yeah, Gold's asking the important question. Yeah, so we were going to talk about the playtest packet, what's in it, what the expectations moving forward are, things like that. So, Ricky, do you want to maybe start and let me pull
Yeah,
up.
yeah. So, what's in the packet overall? First of all, it's enough content for you to level your super from levels 6 to 10. Right, so you're going to be able to go through that. We're actually sharing with you a couple of things that were unlocked during the Backerkit campaign. The first one is starting with a new species, a symbiotic. I think we showed a lot of photos of that already, and maybe we share a little bit more today. But that's going to be an option as well. That's our first kind of symbiotic relationship with a parasite kind of thing, and that's our Thrawn. So a new entire species. And then the
Yeah.
calling of socialite as well. That's something that you can choose as kind of like that background itself. That hey, I've become a super, and I'm going to use this power to go out there and help the public, or I'm going to post on social media all the time, or I'm going to influence, or that kind of thing. So that's kind of like that influencer calling. And then yeah, you get into super progression from powers, from your archetype abilities increasing, as well as your talents that are all ranging from 6 to 10. Right. So we can talk about, I think, at a high level, maybe some of those things. But again,
Yeah.
just wanted to share some of the details. And then it looks like Zarek's got the character sheet. So I, you know, right off the top, right, the first couple pages will look the same as they always have been,
Yeah.
but Derek's done a ton of work in creating the actual signature powers page, which is its own dedicated page to
hmm
just being able to make your custom signature powers. So maybe Derek, if you want to talk on it.
Yeah, yeah. So
Oh,
this is we added a page for the tier 4, 5, and 6 powers that you get access to. And then this is the signature power page that he's talking about. And yeah, just it's got we dedicated an entire page to it. There's an absurd amount of space here. Um, just trying out a couple things. You can click to select all of these and then fill in how many points you've spent, um, things of that nature. And yeah, it's here to just try to make your life easier, like damaging,
yeah,
healing, and shielding, those you can all technically get infinite amount of. So I have like a quantity there, and then you would, let's say like I'll just throw together some things here to show how you can kind of use this to help you build your signature power. So let's do like a ranged, um, I don't know, let's do a line,
ranged.
ranged line. And then we'll just do an attack.
We're
And
gonna call
then,
this Kamehameha.
okay, so no blinding. No, okay.
Yeah.
Um, do like crit chance. So we've so
There we
far
go.
spent 2 points. So let's say we're level 6. We've got a total of 6 to spend. Or maybe let's get wild and do 8. Um,
Go
say
wild.
we're level 8, let's say. And so let's do like 2 damage. So that puts us at 4 there. 2 on crit chance, and then 2, 2. So that should be 8. And so yeah, you can use that there to kind of help you build your power, and then we could reduce the damage to 1, and then select a completely different trait. Um, as long as we have the points, we could do like immobilize or maybe even knockdown. And then yeah, and you would type in, like Ricky said, we actually have a funny version of Kamehameha at a high tier, but Um,
Yeah.
should I write that name? You remember the name of the power that I'm thinking about?
Yeah, I think it was a run-on name of it, right? Like it was an alternate version of it. I think
Yeah, I think it was
it was
this. Something like this.
like Makemeha, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
But for those maybe who are unfamiliar with the signature power, you build it yourself. You start with 6 points, right? I believe, and then every level after level six, you gain one more point, so you can actually go in and technically buy more features for your signature power.
yep.
And that description field, the reason it's the biggest part of the entire paper is because we'd love for you to be able to have space to describe what that looks like. Some things can be really, really, intense. Some things are like just straightforward. I'm just doing a giant, again, sticking with the joke here, Kamehameha, right? And you just blast away your enemy.
Hmm.
So it just gives you a lot of room to play around there, and not be restricted by the page.
Yeah.
And then for anyone else wondering too, of online version of this and like a digital tool of it and things like that, we're eventually going to work on that, invest in it, so that way some of these buttons are responsive, right? That kind of thing. It's more of a built-in website or even an app. Like eventually we want to get there, but this is just stage one. What can we do now with the resources we have now, right? A quick sheet, you can paste in any of those options that you choose.
Yeah. Yep. There we go. That's better. I can have a couple other things on the screen here. So yeah, we could do
Okay.
like charges a beam, and then um, I don't know,
Atlas is trusty
yells.
moves. That's great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yells. Um, you would type it in like this,
Yeah.
uh, and then you would write in like the damage and the extra effects. I guess I can keep typing, but I think
Sure.
the point has been made. Yeah, carrot, Drago. It's Kakarot. I'm making a joke about. We're making a legally distinct Goku for this example.
And the PDF, you'll find that you can copy and paste these in there, so you're not starting from scratch or writing it your own.
Hmm.
Especially things like wounding and how does that stack, and the different effects of it. So definitely going to be easy to just copy that and have it on your sheet, so you don't have to keep on referencing the playtest packet. But once you get it written down, you really would only go back to that sheet when you level up, right? And you unlock more points to continue to upgrade it, make it stronger. Just like any super would in their journey, they'd eventually make their signature move, their thing that we all remember Kakarot by. They would continue to make it stronger and stronger, right? So yeah, so that's a big portion of the actual SIC playtest packet is the signature powers.
Yeah, there. So I wrote it out now. So that would be,
Nice.
and you could put a lot more flavor in here than me. I'm just being quick about it, but um, and even this little blank space is a little extra space to use since for now it's not really in use. Because we do plan to add more traits. We just kind of wanted to make sure that the signature power system works before going too crazy with it. Um,
Yeah,
so
yeah, for sure.
yeah,
Yeah. And then I think a big thing too is we want the feedback. We'll show the form here a little later, but as you're building this out, if anything's weird or whatnot, this community has been just brilliant in being able to provide the feedback on the Indominant game design all through the Discord and so on. But just being able to just try to break this truly, try to make some crazy combinations of these and see what does happen, because those
yeah.
become those little one-offs that, oh man, like we need to fix that, right? We need to tweak that. So please try to mess with this and think of the most wild and crazy combo of
Hmm.
area to checks to critical hit chances to healing to whatever it is, to whatever it does. So
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So that's the custom signature powers, one of the very big things for um, what we created in this playtest packet. Other main things are going to be your uh, tier 4, 5, and 6 powers.
Yeah.
because we go from level 6 is when you gain your first tier 4 power, and then up through level 10, you'll get level 6 you'll get 1 tier 4 power, level 7 you'll get 2, then level 8 you'll get 1 tier 5, level 9 2 tier 5, and then at level 10 you'll get your tier 6. Um,
Hmm.
and also with leveling up, our archetype abilities all improve as you level as well. Uh, and so at
Yeah.
level 6, your first archetype ability gets an upgrade. At level 9, your second archetype ability will get its upgrade. And that will happen later. Again, is what I mean to say, is that will continue happening.
I think what's
Um,
been really fun with Zarek is that we've had these built for a long time. The
mhm.
SIC packet up to level 20, the contents of it have actually been written for like almost a year or so, maybe a year and a
More
half,
than
right?
that, more than
But
that, because
yeah,
we switched to just do the primer like a year and a half ago almost.
that's true. Yeah,
So
yeah. So these last couple weeks has been about everything we've learned in these past like 2 years even. What can we do to make these cooler, make these more awesome, make them so on and so forth. So there's just been a lot more fun to it that we've added to a lot of both those archetype abilities or the talent combination of how they modify them, and really just thinking through those things. And so when you go through and you see those and you're like, huh, this is really interesting, like the interaction, that's on purpose. Like we're trying to make them interesting, we're trying to make them fun. But as always, if it's weird or doesn't work right, I think above all, not fun, you'll let us know, right?
yeah,
Like, hey, this upgrade was kind of mid or whatever. That's great feedback too, to know how you feel about that. So yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. What else? What else? So
Um,
yeah,
Yeah, then we've got your talents is also another big thing. Every even level you get a new talent tier, so you'll get access at level 6 to tier 3, at level 8 tier 4, and at level 10 tier 5 talents. Some of these too are just awesome because um, it's things like the inherent effect mods for multiple different archetypes. Like I know the hunter and the blaster both get theirs. Um, and so those are always a ton of fun. Like when we were going through over the weekend, um, I got reminded because I haven't looked at them in a long time about all the kind of wacky and crazy ideas we have for some of those inherent effect mods.
yeah,
Um, and so, yeah,
yeah, and
just
that
really
it
exciting
it
stuff
really
for sure.
changes it.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, like it really changed those mods. They really change that, like the way they work overall. That's the intent, and it's because you're getting closer to how your archetype and power set really works together, and how that archetype molds that power set, around who you are as a super really, but how you control your powers overall. So you can kind of see that movement where, hey, you started out as an arbiter with fire powers, right? Very not maybe generic because it's always fun, but you start to see like, okay, these things are more intertwined and they're actually working towards their role on the battlefield and so on. And if all five archetypes are doing that, no matter what team members you have that nice cohesive function, together where you guys can really balance off of one another. So
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, um, I mean, that's a bulk of it. The other things are the costume upgrades. So we added
yeah,
because at level 10 you hit C class or no B class, sorry. So at levels I think it's 7, 8, 9, or it might be 6, 7, 8, 9. Trying to remember off the top of my head, but you'll get access to the C class costume upgrades, and then at level 10 you'll get the B class costume upgrades. And so those same as all their modifications and materials. They'll give you specific types of boosts, um, and then you'll just get to upgrade those. Oh, and the last big thing. Sorry, I'm trying to turn down this one light because it's just like blinding me. There we go.
so
Um,
bright, so bright.
yeah, it's also making me shiny. So Um, yeah, so the last thing is the power mods, and Gold had kind of just said something in our Discord server about that. And so the power mods are kind of, it's very similar to how the signature power system works, the custom signature powers, um,
Yeah.
because you pick like an extra effect where you either boost the damage or you can like add a status effect to it or things like that, increase the range, the area, and so it lets you add that to a base power at level 10. You'll get one base power gets to get a mod, and
Yeah.
yeah, just again more of that growth. That way your base powers aren't like useless. I mean, your damage modifier is kind of the main driver of keeping everything useful, but just gives some extra utility, potentially damage, things like that to your base power. And then there's also some power mods you'll get at higher tiers as well. So
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we wanted these power modifications to really make sure that your base powers always stay useful. When you're level 15, you're level 18, you can still use those base powers and still have them impactful.
yeah.
I don't know about everyone, but when you get into higher level play of any TTRPG, it feels like you miss out on the basics, right? You stop doing the basic stuff, and you always shoot for the high, tier, whatever powers to use. And we just didn't want that. The power mods have been on the table, on a part of the vision for Indominant for a long time,
Yeah.
just because of that. Like, we didn't want to write content that basically becomes, useless later,
Hmm.
right? So why not upgrade it later?
Yeah. Yeah. Um, and, and funny enough, that's actually part of what influenced the signature
Yeah,
power
actually.
creation. We kind of modeled it off of the power mods in a way. So kind of just a little interesting insight there. And then Milton, I forgot that we didn't answer your question earlier.
Yeah, I was gonna
So
get
he
to it
asked again.
after that. Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah. Sorry.
so funny enough, I can't remember if we've told Milton, and maybe that's why he's asking this somewhat pointed question. But the very first game that we have planned is a card game, actually. It's not like a collectible card game or anything, um, and it does have the official characters. I guess the best way to describe it would be like I think it's like Magic meets Dominion in a sense. Um,
Yeah,
so yeah, but
yeah. I remember we posted a fun idea of that on our Discord, like, I don't know, 9 months ago, maybe 10 months ago,
it
and
was
Drago was like, "Don't do this. Don't get distracted." And
yes,
I could just hear his voice as he typed this in our Discord. Don't get distracted. So I'm just calling
yeah,
you out, Drago. Thanks. You focused us up a while ago. But I think as creatives, our brains are always moving.
yeah.
So we're always like, oh, what else could we do or build?
Um, in here, when you say here, Drago, what do you mean specifically? Um, yeah, if you're saying in the SIC, then yes, they are going in the SIC. So everybody will get to see those, and the architects and researchers, and the winner, which was one of our researchers, but the winner of the character concept challenge will also be in the SIC. So, oh, the card game? I mean, maybe the card game, the way I have it planned out. I mean, not to like get too off topic, of course, right?
Right,
But
right.
it's not like I said, like randomized packs. Like when you buy one of the decks, it's always the same cards in that deck, and it's for specific characters, kind of the idea.
Yeah.
So, oh, you have no idea, Milton. I would love a dominant video game someday, but we'll get to that once we get the complete um,
Step
core
at a
rule
time.
set done. Yeah.
We're gonna need more environment backdrops, Milton.
Yeah, he's
To
working on
build
one
those
right
there.
now. Yeah.
I know. But yeah, I mean, all those are on the table. Once you build a universe, technically you can invest into like other different areas of like how do you expand that. And I think no
Hmm.
matter what, like it's about having fun, but we want to do it right. Like I'd hate for us to build our core game and then just quickly jump to a card game just cause.
Yeah.
I'd want our brains like all in focused on that card game, and then make sure it feels right, like it's like what we want imagine that kind of. So yeah,
Hmm.
definitely takes time, but eventually I think we'll be able to get there.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, we're creative. We want to make a bunch of different games and stuff. So it's something down the road, but Indominant, the TTRPG will be done well before that happens. So
Yeah, yeah. So maybe on that, we could talk about the comic editor's playtest packet, because that's kind of
yeah.
like a very small preview of our other core rulebook we're going to work on for next year.
Yes, it is. Why don't you start talking about that? I just realized I
Yeah.
don't have water, so let me grab water. I'm
Uh-oh.
very thirsty.
Not good. So the comic editor's playtest packet, essentially it is a very mini preview of what we envision of the comic editor compendium. So the comic editor compendium is the planned name of our comic editor book, our game master book for everyone, right? So that comic editor playtest packet, it has a couple things to really help out for somebody who wants to run a game for, right, your friends, your group at your table, wherever you're at. And it really starts with helping you establish and understand encounters and encounter design. Not just, okay, these are a group of threats that are on the table that you're going to play and fight with, right? It's much more than that. You have to understand perhaps the location of where you plan on having that encounter. Are all encounters combat? I don't agree, right? I agree that they could be social encounters. They could be, exploration encounters. And sometimes I think of like exploring as its own encounter itself. But anyways,
Yeah.
determining number of threats, the motivation behind the threats, is a big piece of this. Because threats are not just a bag of hit points, and not in Dominant and not in any tables I run. They think they have a motivation, they have a drive, or some willingness to run free, right, and do something, right, and pursue a goal. And
Yeah.
then we added some things for environments of Indominant. So these are different areas. It's really fun because we built the universe that it's the universe. So you could play literally in any kind of environment, from having your like sci-fi forest kind of area, or having that city urban cyberpunk-esque kind of city, right? So it's up to you, but we give you some previews and so on of that. Were you going to say something, Zarek? Sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say bye to Milton.
Oh, bye,
Good
Milton.
night.
Thanks
Yeah.
for being with us so late. Yeah.
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 So,
Yeah.
uh, oh,
Um, then we build talk about the encounter point system. It's inside our primer. Maybe I'll take a pin here real quick. A lot more is available in our primer, and we do provide a link to get the PDF version of the primer, right? That helps you build out missions and so on. Anyways, using it. But the encounter point system is just re-emphasized here, especially because you're going to be making encounters that you may need some maybe small groups or smaller threats, so to speak, like level 2 and 3 and 4, mixed in with some of these higher level threats. That, by the way, another feature of it is we have level 6 to 10 threats inside of this.
yeah.
So, mixing those threats together will be, something to be able to really build out great encounters, right? And balance them out, make them feel challenging. And then when you really want them to be strong, make them be very difficult, or tune it down as well and understand why you can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely a big thing is the comic editor stuff, and also Hello Frank too. But uh, so the comic editor
Hey.
stuff is obviously a backbone of playing a TTRPG. So we had to give that, and I think you might have said it, but the primer has all the like rules and everything that you need. But we did like the counterpoint system is reprinted in the comic editor's playtest packet. So yeah, it's got pretty much the basics of what you would need for that. So
Yeah. Yeah. At the end, there's mission starter ideas. These are just a roll table, just to help you out. A couple ideas of just to think about, like, okay, we are starting this campaign here, and this can be something where we kind of build a whole campaign off of it. And they're quick paragraphs on that, just to help drive, that narrative juices, so to speak.
hmm
And then rewards. So being able to you show you in Indominant how can you actually reward your supers in such a way that that can actually help them out, especially if they're more of the calling of a contractor or a vigilante and so on. They usually operate based off of money, right, and wanting to actually enrich themselves, that kind of thing. Even though they have superpowers, and they may or may not be, going out and helping people. They may just help people because they were hired to do so, right? So rewarding is definitely, valuable, and just teaching you about like how you can reward for when somebody goes on a side mission or does optional objectives that didn't have to do with that primary mission, but they definitely can change, the narrative, right? If you go after the side mission, it might affect the main mission of going out there and saving the city or saving the day or whatever it is, right? So
Mhm.
just get a couple of things like that. But yeah, it is purposely short. I think, yeah, 31 pages. Um, give us feedback on that as always, especially the threats. If threats feel right, because eventually we'll build out our threat index, which will be our big old book of threats, right? Pre-built threats, and showing you all the different organizations that we have in this, in the Indominant universe, and then give you tons of ideas for building out your own as well. So, but yeah, a lot of fun stuff in the comic editor playtest packet, and really, really excited for folks to kind of get that taste of what that comic editor compendium will look like.
Yeah, absolutely. There we go. So on the stream, I just added, by the way, the little slideshow of art. So we've got some art. I did
Nice.
this. I decided to do the sketches of the researchers and architect, and then also another character that Milton finished for me,
Yes.
or well, for us, but it's one of my own made characters. So yeah.
There we go.
And threat creation is going to be a huge thing, right? It's going to be, we want to get it right. We want it to be just like everything else kind of that we do with the game is we want it to be simple enough that it's not like you need a degree in rocket science, but that it's
I knew you were gonna say that.
yeah, but that it's still like deep enough and useful enough that it's like, it doesn't just let you make like 10 threats and that's it. So,
Yeah.
finding that balance is always kind of hard, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so definitely want to provide that. In this, we didn't capture that. I think in the next comic editor packet, maybe we'll provide that, like threat making and so on. You can get the ideas behind it, though. At the end of the day, you can always customize and tweak anybody, right? There are a bunch of bolters in this, and they're electricity gang members, right? Why
Hmm.
can't they be ice based, or why can't they be fire based? It's all up to you, right? It's just kind of the thematics of essentially, what you're trying to build your campaign around, anyways. So,
Yeah.
oh yeah, so super excited for that. Yeah, awesome.
Yeah. So I
Um,
think, I mean, we covered all of the things that are in the current playtest packet. So we can talk a bit
Maybe the
about
form.
the form. Yeah, the feedback form. So we have two ways to give feedback. Um, One of those being in our Discord server. Everybody who is a playtester, and I'm going to see if we can update the survey and then ask everybody to answer that extra question. Um,
Yeah,
but pretty much once you confirm who you are, like what's your name and email were that you use Backerkit, that you use to back the Backerkit campaign, then if you're in the Discord, then I'll give you the role. If you're not in Discord, then I'll invite you and then give you the role. That way you can see the playtest sections of the Discord server, and we have a forum style channel that lets you create new posts for feedback. uh, we did that way, like every post we can see later instead of having to try to like sort through a giant list and history of messages, right? So
yeah,
um, that's like more of the immediate feedback response. And then the other sort of like main feedback method is, I guess I can pull it up, right? Is our actual feedback form.
yeah. Yeah, so with the Google form, it's really going to help us out to get kind of a rating of what you feel along the way. You'll see the main question is it's a repeated question of how do you feel about this section? How do you feel about talents? How do you feel about the power? And so on and so on. And then the entry of you being able to provide open comments, you know. So there's a lot of just those questions and filling out any piece of it and just submitting it so useful and definitely appreciate you taking the time to go through. But yeah, once you dig into the whole pack-in and maybe you've play tested yourself, you've gone to a table and maybe even just built some characters yourself and just seeing how things work out. Feel free to pop open that, submit some of that feedback and let us know open and honestly, right? How are you feeling about it, right? So
Yeah,
definitely some cool things that can change all based on feedback itself. That's just the whole point of this playtest to get it right, make sure we're having fun.
yeah, absolutely. And yeah, we're big on open and honest feedback. Like if you don't like something, you're not gonna hurt our feelings by telling us that you don't like it. Um, well, maybe, but we won't get upset with you. We won't like be angry and mad if you say anything or like,
Frank said,
give
"What
us.
about that? That was my favorite thing."
Yeah, yeah. So while I get this pulled up, Frank asked us what we're most looking forward in the coming weeks and months. I
Yeah.
think for me, I would just say like all the feedback and getting people to see the higher level stuff. I mean, um, there's a lot of powers and talents that we've had tucked away for a while because they're higher level stuff, and I just some of them are like some of the most favorite and most exciting things to me in the game. So I'm very excited for people to start getting to see that. And since we're doing a 3 month cycle, um, we will be able to just get really thorough feedback, keep growing the community, and in 9 months we'll pretty much have all the playtesting done. So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I can't agree more. For me, it's just seeing all the crazy creations of supers and different ways that folks are making their supers, like what their experience is going to look like. I can't wait for that stuff. Professionally, I'm a product manager, and a product manager is all about beta testing and really working out the kinks, the knacks, the edge cases, and all these things. So when I look at this too, I'm really interested to see, what folks find and, as things that are like, man, this is like a problem for me, this is a concern for me, whatever it is. And us being able to just jump in as, developers and say, okay, yeah, that absolutely makes sense. That we've got to change that up. It doesn't resonate. It's not maybe the direction we wanted or, rules as
yeah,
written versus intended, that kind of thing. So I'm really excited for people to go in and try to break the thing so that way we can make the best and dominant possible. But
yeah,
really, really fired up for
yeah. Hey August, thank you. I appreciate it. Just
that.
throwing comments. Everybody makes me so nervous or like shy whenever they say nice things. I'm just like, okay, hi.
It's a fully grown beard, as it
Uh,
does it.
it's patchy though. Stress. So yeah, here's the form. I've got the feedback form up.
Yeah.
So uh, I feel like I need to zoom in. There's not an easy way to zoom, is there?
Oh yeah, you gotta. Well, we can read off of it essentially.
There, I think that's. There we go.
Yeah.
That's probably legible for folks that are watching. Um, so yeah, obviously the first one's just kind of yeah, through inertia. I have no idea how to take a compliment. Uh, Even with my wife, I'm just like
Uh,
so awkward. I'm
These are
shy with that kind of
words of
stuff.
affirmation, guys. So just keep it going.
Yeah.
uh,
Um,
but yeah, that on this, I mean, it says it right away. Just being open and honest. We've emphasized it so much just on the stream. But
mhm.
we'd love to as well. You can submit this, randomly, right? Like anonymous, if you'd like to. But one of the first questions is going to ask, can we contact you about that?
Yeah.
We'd love to be able to work and understand it more, because sometimes a comment or like a couple sentences just doesn't is not enough room or enough
Right.
time, right?
Yeah.
So definitely that, and again, providing Discord or email is going to be big for us to be able to reach out. So
Yeah. Um,
yeah.
and then, just Discord username or email because we're totally fine with either form of communication. Have a good night, Frank. Thanks for stopping in. Appreciate it. Um, so
Oh, I think we
either
need
way
to hit.
works.
I think we need to hit publish there because it says it's not
Oh, this is
accepting.
a different version. Yeah, this is a different
Oh,
version.
oh,
I
okay,
didn't
all right.
want to accidentally show people's responses if anybody did respond. I don't think anybody did,
Yeah,
but just in case.
yeah.
Um,
That's fair.
so this is just like a copy of one. I can't get rid of that, but anyways.
No
So yeah,
worries.
it'll go through and ask you, and this is kind of a we'll try to always improve on things, and so if the current set of questions isn't very clear or maybe could be improved, we'll obviously look to improve that. Um, so we've got this sort of scale of 1 to 5. I had a big thing. I not to like throw shade, but I think it's good to learn from others, and so when Wizards of the Coast did their feedback for 1D&D, I did not like it. I just didn't think that it was super useful as the person receiving the feedback, to be honest. So this was kind of like what Ricky and I came up with was number one being like the lowest score, of course, is that both the concept, so that's kind of the design goals of what that archetype ability does, or whatever feature the question's asking about, um, and the implementation, as in like maybe the wording's bad, or it's just too weak, or it's too strong, or confusing in how it's been implemented, things like that. So that's number one. Is both of those are bad. Number two is that the concept might be interesting or good, but the way we implemented it is bad. Um, and so to us, that would mean then that okay, the idea we have going here is interesting and intriguing for folks, but the way we approached it didn't work very well. Number three is that both are pretty decent, like the concept and the implementation are good, but that there's probably some changes that could be used, whether it's clarifying language or maybe just like some numbers shifting, things like that. Number four is kind of just pushing up the scale, that it's very good and there's some minor tweaks. And then number five is like, nope, doesn't need any changes. That's great as is, both in concept and implementation. Maybe there's like a few wording changes or some grammar, things like that. And so that's the question that you'll get asked to select one of those responses, and then also provide your comment with kind of more of your detailed feedback. Um, but it doesn't have to be like a giant paragraph every time, right? But that's where you'll get to put in your comment for those. So the archetype abilities, we just did all the level 6 and all the level 9 improvements. Um, so, you might have to specify, or maybe there's something that just blanket with the concept of how they all improve isn't good, um, things like that. And then we jump into more of the specifics. So like the new species type, the symbiotics, which we did switch back to symbiotics. I know I mentioned in the
Yeah,
Discord that we were changing it to symbionts because that's like scientifically correct. But a few
yeah.
people were like, "What in the world is that word? I've never seen that before." Ricky included, and me, to be honest, when I had seen it.
Yeah, no,
Um,
ain't nobody got time for that.
and so symbiotics
Yeah,
just felt right. It kind of
right.
fits. It's a little easier to say. Um,
Yeah,
so asking about that species type and their features, and then the socialite. Um, one of the big things for that species type is if the traits that we have you don't like, and you have some ideas or suggestions you think would maybe fit that species
right.
type well. And then again, same thing with the socialite. And instead of asking about the traits, it's the pros and cons of that calling.
Hmm.
And then we go into all of the power sets. And we left them just because, so to kind of keep in mind, right, there's 5 tier 4 powers, 5 tier 5 powers, and 4 tier 6 powers. So if we asked about every single power, um, that's what, 14 times 10,
We'd,
so that's 140 questions right there.
we'd have zero responses. So,
Yeah, it's a lot to ask of folks. So we just kind of left it up to each power set. I think especially too if the concept of the power set is fitting the theme, or maybe it's not fitting the theme, or maybe you give it a 3 because you think it's a good overall, but you have a couple powers specifically that you think need updates, or whatever you feel is the best answer for that. Um,
yeah.
and so yeah, it'll go through all the different power sets for that, and then
And then the big
yeah,
ones,
and
the
then yeah, go ahead.
yeah, that combination of archetype and power set that we did take our time to go through because we needed to know if it worked well, right? That's specifically your talents combination with your archetype and power set. So
Yeah.
there are a lot of, the same question there. So, if you didn't play with every archetype and power set combo, of course, right? It's almost impossible, but you could certainly, do the one that, you did, right? I was in a fire manipulator arbiter. I took all the talents. I like this talent. I didn't like this talent. Here's why, and here's some feedback on it, right?
Hmm.
So yeah, so that's why we did that. So on all of those questions, definitely the more the better. If you want to kind of compare and contrast, oh, fire arbiter versus earth,
Hmm.
actual manipulator as well. Like being able to see those two and differentiate and say, hey, I don't like this because of this, or I do like this, thank you, and all that.
Yeah, absolutely. So that,
Pretty early
sorry.
on.
Yeah, I have not gotten much sleep the last several nights. So, um, yeah, there's in this again, we tried to keep it as slim as we could, but it's one for every single combo. So there's 5 archetypes and 10 power sets. That means there's 50 questions there. Um,
Yeah.
So, and again, like we said, we're looking to improve the process of feedback too. If maybe like for powers, the the people giving feedback want to have more detail, and then for talents, maybe they want to separate it in a different way. Like maybe it's just 3 questions for each archetype, where it's like the tiers, because the tiers all fall into the same kind of category. All the tier 3 talents for Hunter will be these kinds of things. I think specifically for hunters, it's their covert strike boost. So their tier 3 talent will improve their covert strike across the board, and all 3 talents for every power set will do that. But they'll have their own ways that they modify or improve it. And so, since they're all kind of the same thing, maybe that's a better way to group them. We don't know. We definitely want to hear feedback on that as
Yeah.
well. So.
Yeah.
And then after that, it's power mods, the channeling status effect. Oh yeah, we missed that. That was one of the new things. Um,
Oh
we'll
yeah.
we'll hit
Yeah.
that real quick here in a second, and then
Yeah. For sure.
the comic editors packet, um, creating encounters, all the different sections, or some of the more major sections at least of the comic editors packet, and the character sheet as well. So, and that's it. It's definitely pretty detailed. You don't have to like go too crazy with all of your responses and comments, right? But um, yeah, just want it to be detailed enough that it's useful for us, because if it's really hard for us to put the feedback to use, then it means we're not using the people's time that they take to fill it out very well either, right?
Hmm.
So yeah. Um,
Yeah.
and so, yeah, one of there was 2 new things. I just remembered one thing that we forgot to touch on, but 2 new things that also came, and that was the channeling status effect. So that pretty much the idea of the channeling status effect, it's considered a positive status effect. And what it does is it lets you extend the effect of of a power. And it requires a specific power. So maybe we can pull up an example, not to show, but use as an example to explain.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like you're focusing on this power, and in the power itself, it will explain what happens when you do focus on it.
Hmm.
You can't move around. That was a big thing.
Yes.
Unless some other rule eventually maybe does something there, right? But
Yeah,
as
or like a
written for
specific
channeling.
power maybe. Some
Yeah,
specific channeling
exactly.
powers might let you move or do
Yeah,
other things, while you're channeling. So one example, I think
exactly.
Ricky and I actually had a blast with this one because we changed this power quite a bit to add channeling, and it was Flame NATO, um, kind of something ripped from like, oh my gosh, why am I? Johnny Storm.
Sharks. Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
why am I forgetting his name? Human Torch. Human Torch. Sorry.
Human Torch. Yeah.
So it's a channeling power. When you use it, you'll create the tornado. Every enemy in the area has to make a check. If they fail, they'll take damage and get pulled towards the center. And then you can channel that power every turn and maintain it. The way channeling works is you can use other actions as long as you have action points, of course. You just can't move, like Ricky said. Um, and like if you get stunned, it'll also deactivate the channel. And so you got to sort of plan ahead and keep in mind that if I'm stuck here in place channeling this power, am I at risk of maybe ending it and not continuing the channel? And so channeling lets you on your next turn spend the same action points again. So Flame NATO is a main action. On your second turn, or I guess the first turn after you use Flame NATO, you would be able to decide if you want to maintain it or not, and you would spend a main action to continue using Flame NATO. It saves you drive. That's one of the benefits is because you don't have to spend drive again, you just get to keep the effect going. It's very efficient with your drive, but that makes it less efficient with your action economy because in order to get that efficiency, you have to keep spending action points on the same power. And specifically Flame NATO, when you channel it, you get to move the tornado a little bit. You have
Yeah.
to move it within your range somewhere, so you can't just like send it out a super long distance, but it lets you kind of adjust the position of it. And this, I think it's tier 5 fire manipulation power, might be tier 6. I think it is
Yeah.
tier 6, yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah. So
that's,
channeling really unlocks a lot more, um, customization and fun, I think, to powers. So we're really really excited about how we've changed up a good group of powers that were otherwise just, oh, you just plan it there and there it is. That's it. So
yeah, yeah, it gives us a different kind of form of a ground effect, for example.
yeah.
Um, and gives it a little more intrigue, and we can make them pretty strong since like for this power Flame NATO, it's 6 drive, and if I maintain it to get the full 3 turn duration, actually this one is up to 4 turns, you can deal the damage. It's 2d6 damage plus your damage modifier. So you could do 8d6 damage, which for a tier 6 power is crazy and it's area, but you've spent 4 turns and 8 action points doing that. So it's very good use of your drive, but it's not as good of a use of your action economy. So um, yeah, just I think another interesting way to interact with the game. Um, and I guess it's not related in a sense, but another rule change would be cones. Um,
Yeah.
and funny enough, it's something you have mentioned before a while ago about cones, at least the range aspect. Um, so cones now, moving forward, they are standard cones only. We just call them cones. But mechanically, they are what used to be standard cones. There's no more half cone or wide cone. They all, no matter what, every unit that the range goes out, it expands by 1 unit in the width in both directions. So that's effectively like a 90-degree angle. Um,
Yeah.
just simpler, especially with the corners. So you can use a cone north, south, east, west, and then the four corners. And the half cones mostly were like the big culprit, but they were super hard to um,
Yeah.
just figure out. Like
Yeah.
even when I made the template that's in the primer, I struggled. That took me like 30 minutes to make because I was like, wait, how would it work
Right.
when you're going on a corner? And so simplified that because while I thought it was a pretty neat way to kind of have differentiation between powers, like, oh, this power is a half cone, so maybe it's like more focused, it's stronger, but it's got a smaller area, whereas like maybe this power is a wide cone, and so since it's got such a large area, it's weaker. Um, but the complexity of how you figure out the units that are covered by a cone just isn't worth the benefit that it adds.
Exactly.
Um,
Yeah, we're all about simplicity. If I
mhm,
can build the game in such a way that you don't have to open the book to figure out what that cone is or what that is, then we're winning, right? Because it's
mhm.
less of an obstruction to fun.
Yeah.
You can just quickly do the thing, and then our solution though is based on your archetype. So maybe Zarek came up with this really clever idea that I definitely agree with
Yeah,
as
the
well.
range thing was your big concern with cones, and I've always
Yeah,
like acknowledged it, but I just was like, well, they're a little fiddly, and since you're relegated to just eight directions, it does limit when and how you can use them a little bit.
yeah,
So I was like, yeah, if a blaster can shoot a cone that's 12 units long in range, um,
yeah.
I think it's okay because, reasons.
Because he's a blaster.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but it covered like even a standard cone. I think it covers like 70 something squares.
right.
And like
Uh,
that's just crazy. They can just stand back and a cone will cover the entire combat. And that's
Yeah,
not
so it
even a
becomes
wide
the
cone.
opposite of what we want, right? It becomes that is always the choice to
Hmm.
always use a cone power, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Um, and so now for the Bruiser, Blaster, and Hunter, the range of cones is always 4 units. Um, really, what it is for melee characters, it's 4 units. It's their range, which is four for bruisers and guardians. And then for ranged archetypes, it's half of your max range, which hunters have a range of 7. So half of that rounded up, because we always round up, is 4. And then 5 for arbiters, because they have a max range of 10. And 6 for blasters, because they have max range of 12. So, and that will account for boosts. So if you increase your range to 13, that would bring you to 7 on the range of your cones. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think it adds quite a bit of um, balance to the equation because like cones, comparatively at least, always sucked for bruisers and guardians because they cover only 4 units, whereas a blaster can just shoot from a mile away and cover a football field. Um, and so
Yeah.
now it kind of balances that out, and it means that when a blaster uses a cone, they have to get into more of a risky position to get that benefit of covering a large area. Because even a 6 unit long cone still covers a large area. Um,
Yeah.
like I need
Yeah.
to pull up
So you want
the primer because I think I have an example of that in the primer.
right. Yeah, and we're pushing these updates to the primer PDF as well, so
Yeah,
folks will be able to see that.
yeah, the primer, I just have to do quite a bit of reformatting with the primer. Um, so,
Slap a new artwork in there and save some space. Just kidding. Yeah, so that was a big thing. I hope that you guys all kind of see that in dominant as a whole is meant to be, hey, I looked this up once, I get it, and I don't really have to reference it that much. I write down my powers once I understand the power, and I'm good. I add my talent down. My talent modified this. My inherent effect modified this. My archetype ability. Write it down once. Good to go. I don't have to keep on looking up things. So minimizing the amount of time of opening the book and so on. And then back to the comic editor side, it's roughly the same thing throughout. That our threats are written in such a way that they're very easy to read, easy to understand. Do I roll dice here or not?
Hmm.
Do I just add a number or not? That kind of thing. So those kind of stylistic choices that are just, I here is the thing. You got it once, good. Keep it moving.
Yeah, so here's the standard cones. This is the shape that all cones will be. So if you do a corner, it will be like this. Just looks like stairs. And then if you do
Right.
any of the other directions, it'll be like what is that, the Aztec temples, kind of like that sort of shape. Um,
Yeah, yeah, it is.
um,
Yeah.
and they both cover 15 units always. So half
Right.
cones and whatnot are going away. But like you can even see it with the half cone example here. This is a range of what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I think it's
Yeah. And we wanted it to be able for like VTTs to make it quick as well, you know, so you don't have to necessarily think about it in your VTT. Most VTTs, I think, even the Forge works exactly as that image.
not. I think theirs is a 45-degree angle or 60 degree or something like that. But either way, it's just easier to figure out now.
Yeah,
Oh, ziggurat. Yeah, thank you, Inertia. Yeah,
there
ziggurat.
we go.
So yeah, even the half cone at a range of 7 covers 25 units. And so imagine if it would cover even more if it was a standard cone. It would be,
Massive.
a lot, a lot. Um,
Yeah.
and then here's a wide cone, and this is a wide cone of 4 units, and it's like, it's
Yeah.
crazy how many units it covers. Um, so yeah, it just simplifies that down, and the diagonals get a lot simpler because it's stairs or it's a ziggurat. I really like that example now. Um,
We got to remember it. Always say it now.
yeah.
Say it quick. Yeah.
So yeah. That was, I think it's a big change, but not just because most cones were standard cones, but there were some that were not. And so those change and become easier. And then the range change obviously is very impactful to reduce the range of cones. But I think it levels the playing field quite a bit. Um,
Right.
yeah, Foundry's cones, I don't know. I'm assuming you could design because the one we usually use is like based on a D&D system, and so you could
Yeah.
change it. Yeah, Ant is saying that you can change it in Foundry, so we could update the cones, especially now that we only have one. We could
Right.
have it updated to work in Foundry naturally. So,
Yeah, I think it's rectilinear or something. Yeah, it's kind of a setting for how diagonals work. I'm messing with it right now because of
oh yeah,
real quick. Yeah,
yeah.
but yeah, maybe we'll put that in our Foundry VT setup system that we have rather.
Hmm.
That way, it's just something that's already built in, and you don't have to mess with it too much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, 66 degrees for the right size cone of Foundry. This is Ant. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that sounds. Wait, 66 degrees, shouldn't it be 90? Or I guess it depends how Foundry does it. I
All the
think 90
things.
would be too big in Foundry actually, because I don't know. Yeah, we'll see. We'll mess around with it. We'll try to figure that out.
Yeah.
Um,
The biggest thing is for you to know, right? Like
right.
it's that stair step, very easy stair step.
Yes.
So when
Yes.
you draw it on a grid, you're set.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, I think with that, that's everything. The only other
Yeah.
like notable change, was like 1 talent in electricity for arbiters. Got a little change. Just I think it targets yourself and allies in the area. Um, and then instead of healing for only half damage modifier, it heals for your full damage modifier. So
Yeah.
um,
I think we're putting the changelog. It was part
it
of
was
it,
sent
right?
out. Yep,
Sure. Yeah,
yep.
yeah,
I
there it is.
sent it out today with
Yeah.
everything else. So yeah, 3 inertia too. Geometry is fun, especially because I don't like non-Euclidean geometry. So
Dropping that math knowledge.
well,
I just
yeah,
like the
because
math rocks. They go clickety clack.
well, like it's funny because some people that I've play tested with, like they uh they poke fun at me for it because for our range calculations, like diagonals isn't just 1 to 1. You have to go 1 2 1 2 1 as far as like how many units you count per diagonal.
Yeah,
Um, and the reason is because it creates a artificial circle around you for movement and range. And the reason that's important to me is that I don't want to have to count to solve like a distance, and I want to visually be able to tell if something's the same distance away. So if you count diagonals as just a one, then you create squares, and so somebody at the corner of your square is technically the same distance away as somebody that's like straight ahead, even though visually their distance is different. So, anyways, yeah. And then we use squares anyways with areas, but that was to make things simple.
yeah. Simple as possible.
Yeah, instead of trying to do a radius or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. So those are just those fun, quick things that you know role play and have fun and do combat quickly. Don't
Yes.
think too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I think that's everything. Maybe we'll give a minute here. Chat. Any other questions on anything? Maybe anything we missed just to ask about. But I mean, again, while you're thinking of questions, um, thank you so much as always for all of the help on for the backing, for sharing with friends, for
Hmm.
just all this, being so active in the community, and posting
Yeah.
chats and whatnot,
Big shout
builds.
out to Sakwana in our Discord. They've been
Oh
running a
yes.
lot of games. Like every
Yeah.
week they've been running at least one. I think they said that they actually have been running like 3 or 4 a week for like the past month. So, um, shout out to Sakwana. That's freaking awesome. It's
Yes. So cool.
Yeah,
So
really
so cool.
appreciate that. And then Three
Yeah.
Inertia's question about the hexes. I actually kind of like hexes, and we designed the game to technically function with hexes.
Yeah.
Um, but
Yeah. Which took my brain just completely out when Zarek showed me how it actually works. It's in fact why I haven't played BattleTech because they're hex based and that kind of thing. I
yeah,
love the models and stuff. But anyways, off topic. But yeah, when he explained that hexes are basically the squares, I'm like, huh?
yeah, that's a one way you could do it, but you could also just like hack it um, to turn it into working on hexes, and it's pretty simple. You would just do like a 5 by 5 square just becomes a 2 radius circle on a hex. So,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, TTRP Genius, August, tastiest die. I've never eaten any of my die. No, I actually visually like the D12 visually. I think the
Same,
D12 is
same.
the most
It's got
attractive
it.
die.
It's got to be the D12, you
Yeah, it's
know.
like the most interesting and like clean looking one
Right.
to me. So
So next time somebody asks that, we have to have dice candy like ready to go, Zarek.
yeah,
Just be like, oh, it's this one. I didn't.
it tastes like blue raspberry.
Wow.
I'm pretty
What
sure
did
you
you
can
know?
buy gummy dice.
Yes, yeah, you can for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then when they're bad, you eat them.
Oh, D8s. Really? So I don't like D8s and D10s 3 inertia because they look the same. I always struggle to separate a D10 and a D8. because
Yeah,
they're
they
very
do.
similar shapes. And so I've many a times when I was supposed to roll a D8 or a D10, I rolled the wrong one, like very consistently.
Yeah, the D10s with the D8. Yeah, I constantly do that. I
Yeah.
also always forget how the D10s work when you do two of them at the same time.
Oh,
Right, the
for
100 and the
D100?
10.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, the
I
the
always
one with
like.
the zeros is your tens place.
No, no, I know, I
Yeah.
know, but like when you're in the act of it, you're like, it's a 22. No.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, it just yeah.
I get what you mean. Yeah, because it's like, I see a 20 and a 2. What does it mean? Yeah. Um,
Exactly.
how do you mix up a
Awesome, awesome.
D12 and a D20? They are similar shapes. I can't remember what's the term for the platonic solids. I think the D20 and the D12 are both platonic, but I think the D8 and D10 are not platonic solids. Um,
I,
I forget.
I
I
don't
love
know.
these kinds of like random bits of information. Like, is it platonic? I don't think that's right.
Tetrahedron, cube, octahedron, dodecahedron, isohedron. Learning all kinds of things on this stream.
Yeah, it is. It is platonic solids. Yeah, yeah,
There you go.
yeah. Tetrahedron, which is, I think that's the seven. Is that a seven-sided? Cube is a hexagon. I don't think tetrahedron is seven. Hang on. And then octahedron 8, dodecahedron 12, and icosahedron is the 20-sided. So
Nice.
I I just I don't know. I'm weird. I watch like scientific videos of random things like that just for fun.
His
So
uh his YouTube algorithm is all like science stuff. And then he hits me with, Ricky, what do you think about this? And then do the
yeah. Oh, tetrahedron's a four-sided. How did I?
there you go.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the four-sided, eight-sided, six-sided, 20, and 12. That was not in order, but yeah. So okay. With that, I think unless there's any questions, then yeah. Okay. Yeah, I was saying 90 degrees is foundry. Okay, I was right. But you have to start it, I think, at the right position or something. I don't know. We'll mess with it and we'll see if Greg can update
Yeah,
it.
mess with it.
That way, it
Yeah.
always works as intended.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
and then Zanimal in the Discord has been also showing off some stuff they're making in Foundry, um, kind of making their own module actually in Foundry. So,
Oh.
yeah,
Oh yeah. Yeah, I did see that. I was just reading that.
yeah.
It's awesome. Yeah, more feedback on that. If there's some, if that's your specialty, you guys like coding and things like that, give us feedback on, how the Foundry module's going.
Hmm.
And we can go from there. Hopefully we can change it around. Greg's always been just an awesome, awesome member of the community and just
Oh,
been
yeah.
able to run with us so quickly. So
Yeah, very huge help. The reason we have Foundry is Greg. He just decided to take it upon himself to make that, and it was very helpful for us because it
yes,
gives us an actual system in a VTT to use instead of having to like, you know, jerry rig it
assume.
or yeah, or like
Yeah,
no rules can be handled inside there. Like having the character sheets there is really nice. So
exactly.
yeah, it's amazing.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Awesome. All right. Call it there then, guys. Thank you again for everything, all the feedback and all the help.
Mm, absolutely. Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Have a good night.